A coward dies infinite deaths. The brave only die once. Which one are you? Are you the cowardly type, or are you brave? Are you practicing fear? Are you practicing bravery? Are you full of fear? Are you full of courage? Are you fearful, or are you courageous? What do you fear? Lack of stability, lack of security, lack of success, lack of money, lack of material possessions. What do you fear? Regardless of what you fear, you should have no fear. You should practice bravery and bravely overcome all fears, whatever your fears may be. You have to be courageous. You have to take a courageous perspective when you're self-evaluating and you're going over the things that you fear. Because this is the only way to truly conquer these fears. If not, they'll continue to conquer you, whatever your fears may be. There's so many different forms of fear. Everyone has their own that's specific to them. Some have multiple fears. That's even worse. But regardless of the fact, you have to be brave. You have to be courageous. You cannot allow fear to dominate. You cannot allow fear to control you. You cannot allow fear to master you. You have to dominate fear. You have to control fear. You have to master your fear. This is how you become fearless. You lessen your fear. It's necessary that you do so. Because fear is one of the things that trap you here. That's a very strong emotion. Fear is strong, like hate is strong, like love is strong. See, but courage is also strong. Oftentimes people are so submerged, so caught up in their fears, they're not thinking about being courageous. They're not thinking about bravery. They're not thinking about taking a courageous approach to slaying their monsters or subduing their fears. If you take a fearful approach, if you have a fearful perspective, you're doomed before you even engage. So a lot of it plays on your mentality, your perspective. Fear is a control mechanism. It's a program. It's all around you. It's constantly being programmed, and that program is constantly being reinforced. There's so many program reinforcements. And a lot of people are oblivious to them. They don't realize that these things are mechanisms for program reinforcement. Whether fear is that program, or whether the program be ignorance. Fear and ignorance are two of the most used programs because the strength. See, but they feed off each other. Your fear plays off your ignorance. Because you're ignorant, because you don't know, you're full of fear. You become fearful. You fear things. But if you know and you have knowledge of these things, if you have a knowing of how these things work, whatever these things may be, that removes the fear. See, knowledge kills ignorance. Knowledge kills fear, because ignorance breeds fear. So, what does knowledge breed? Bravery, courage. See, a lot of people experience emotional trauma, and as the result of experiencing this emotional trauma, their spirit becomes weakened. And this is when the fear sets in. This is where people start to develop these certain fears because of the trauma. But see, our traumas lead to our triumph. The purpose of trauma is to make you stronger. The purpose of struggle is to make you stronger. But you have to be knowledgeable of this. Either you look at the trauma from a perspective of it's meant to damage you and bruise you for life, and that you can't recover from it, or that it's just an obstacle, that it's just something you had to experience to learn from. And once you see what that lesson is and you learn that lesson, see, that trauma doesn't become an experience that you look back on that fills you with emotions that you can't control, whether it be fear, anger, sadness, whatever emotion it may be. Because there are different types of trauma. You have positive trauma, you have negative trauma. So when a person think of a traumatic experience, a lot of times they're thinking of something that was extremely negative, that left an imprint in their memory, a negative imprint in their memory. But you also have positive traumas. These were things that brought extreme joy, extreme happiness. It's still a traumatic experience because it impacted you. The experience changed you. But to subject yourself to fear is unnecessary. There's no need. See, but in order to be brave, you have to learn how to be brave. You have to learn how to be courageous. The same way you're taught to fear. You're taught to be afraid of things. It's a program. It's something that you learn. Whether it be a genetic imprint, something that was inherited from those who came before you because they didn't deal with their fears. They didn't know how to handle their traumas. So then that passes on to the next generation, and then they have to deal with and overcome these fears. Overcome ignorance. They have to break the spell. They have to destroy the illusion. But regardless of the fact, regardless of all of that, seek knowledge. Seek truth. Look inside yourself. Find the wealth inside of yourself. Find the truth inside of yourself. Knowing yourself knowing who you are and what you're capable of. This gives you courage. This gives you bravery. Because once you know who you are, you know what your purpose is. You know that nothing can stand in your way. You become unstoppable. Then you develop a mentality that's unstoppable. It's fearless. That's when you tap into your divine self and you conduct yourself as such, as a divine being, having a human experience.